Mining job hunt video. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video we are going to collect jobs for the sponsors mining jobs to apply for page. So let's type underground into Seek and give it a spin for the last 7 days. So these are all the jobs that you should be applying for if you've completed either the work ready or the DIY training package that the sponsors got. So this is a crew job that we can start with. It says they want experience, and we've talked about experience before, but we're going to talk about that again today, just to give people a bit more of an idea about what the employers are really after. So it's entry level with Glencore. When the employers are asking for experience, they want people that know how their mine works. Teaching you how to drive the truck only takes a couple of weeks. Teaching you enough to leave you alone in the mine so you can get on with whatever job that you're meant to do, that's what takes all the time, and that's the experience that they're looking for. So if you can know how the mine works before you go and get your job, that's the easiest way to get a start. So they're looking for people over in Kalgoorlie again, around the underground mines around Kalgoorlie with Northern Star. They've got a couple of big underground mines that they need to staff. They're always looking for people. Drillers Offsider. Drillers Offsider, underground truck. It's the big one that people can't get their heads around, is the experience, the actual type of experience that they want. They want people that they can leave alone so they can get on with the job. That's what they want. They want people that they can throw in the deep end. This multi-skilled operator job, that's a grader operator's job. I've already had a look at that one. So they need to, I think that's the second week in a row that's been up, and I think the reason that they're not getting a response to that is because people aren't reading it properly. With what they actually want is someone to grade the road. So, nipper's job. Teaching you the skills to be a nipper, as in throwing bolts for the jumbo and dropping gear off and all that sort of stuff, doesn't take very long. But teaching you enough about how the mine works so they can let you loose with the ute underground, that's what takes all the time, and that's the experience that they're after. So if you can educate yourself to how the mine works, you've genuinely got something to offer the employers. And that's how all the people that do the training, the sponsors training, get jobs, because they can actually hold a conversation with the employer in the interview about how it all works. And I just think that gets lost on people. People get into this situation where they think that they need to know how to drive the truck, or they think that they need a bunch of tickets, or whatever they think that they need to get the job, when in fact just being able to hold a conversation with the employer about what stench gas is and what primary and secondary ventilation is, and what are you going to have to do if a rock slides down your scaling bar, all those sort of things. Why is watering down important? It's just all stuff that the employer wants a new starter to know, or they want somebody with 6 months truck driving experience to know. And they're the questions that they're going to be asking them. The fact that they know how to drive the truck is just a bonus, but they're going to get taught how to drive the truck on site there, the way the employer wants it driven anyway. And chances are that if you're coming from a different mine site, it's a different truck, like a different brand. And it's the same as, the difference between Audi and a Mercedes and a BMW. They all do the same thing. They're all built in Germany. It all handles it a different way. But when you jump into it, the knobs and bells and whistles are all in different spots, and that's what they're training you in, is to teach you where it all is and how it all works. So they've got to do that for everybody. So even an experienced person, they've still got to spend time putting them through all that sort of stuff, just to make sure that they know how it all works. It's just the way it is. Underground drills assistant, no experience. It's a good one. It's all about giving the employers what they want, somebody that knows how their mine works. And I know I harp on about it, but it's a secret to getting a job and being able to make it past that first 6 months, because the majority of people, they get dropped in the deep end, and it is what it is. It's 3 in 5 fail in the first 6 months, and there's only 2 in 10 left after 2 years. It's a high turnover industry. It's not for everybody. That's one of the big things that I like with the training, is that it teaches you the good stuff and the bad stuff about it all. So you've got a really good understanding of exactly what you're getting yourself into, because for a lot of people, they only look at it through rose-coloured glasses. And if you spend $495 on the DIY package and you work out that mining's not for you, then you've probably saved yourself 10 grand in the long run. Because a lot of people, they just jump into it with both feet. They spend a bunch of money on tickets, they relocate themselves, they do all sorts of crazy shit without actually learning what the employer wants first. I talk to people all the time about getting into the mining industry, because I do calls through the Facebook page. And it's just constant flow of people that have spent a bunch of money on tickets and relocation and all sorts of crazy stuff before they've actually understood what the employers want and how the industry works. It's just crazy. Just have a look at the job ads. That's all I ever tell people to go and do. None of the job ads ask for a bunch of tickets. The only people that want tickets in production mining is coal in Queensland. But if you get a traineeship in Queensland or in New South Wales, they don't pay very much. What I mean by they don't pay very much, someone posted this to our mining jobs that you don't need a trade or degree for. It's a haul truck traineeship with BHP at Muswellbrook, and it is for between 70 and 80,000 per annum on an even time roster, 12 and a half hours a day, and that will include your super and the healthcare that BHP put into everybody. So it's the same thing with the iron ore over this side of the country. The actual cash component of what they're paying you is now in the 60s if you go in with one of these traineeships in coal or iron ore, and that's one of the reasons why I try and steer people towards hard rock underground, because it's one of the few areas of the industry where you can have a long-term career that you've got the chance of making really good money, and you only have to make it into the second tier of the crew to actually start making the really good money. Like with those traineeships, where do you go from there? Your 70 to 80,000 might turn into 100,000 if you're lucky, whereas the second tier of the underground jobs, they turn into 200,000, and the top tier of the underground jobs turn into 250 to 350,000. It's where the money is. It's why you should be looking in that area. And if you think that you're going to be able to jump from a traineeship like that and walk into a $150,000 truck driving job somewhere, it's just not going to happen. They're just not paying that much anymore. You're lucky to get $50 an hour or $55 an hour in a surface truck, and that's it. And on an even time roster, that's $100,000 a year. And that's 100 grand doesn't buy you a lot. And as lots of people have been pointing out to me on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, that you can get $38.50 an hour driving a forklift in Perth. And you don't have to do too many hours to make it to that 80 to 100,000. So if you're only going to make $100,000 on a mine site working an even time roster, why would you want to do that when you can stay in Perth and make the same sort of money? The whole point of getting into mining is to make a bunch of money so you can retire early or live the lifestyle that you want to live. The coal and the iron ore areas of the industry for the last 5 years, as management, it's been all about screwing down the wages, and it just dumbfounds me that all these people are lining up to get into these areas of the industry. The reason that they can screw these wages down to the point that they're lower than what you'd earn, if you work the same hours at a McDonald's or Bunnings in Perth or in Sydney or Melbourne or wherever you are in the country, that they've been able to screw these wages down to such a point that because they've got a line a mile long of people wanting to sign up, thinking that this is their opportunity and this is their way in and this is their way to the $150,000 a year job. And if you're jumping into a production mining job in a coal mine or in an iron ore mine at the moment, you're not getting into $150,000 a year job. You're getting into maybe $120,000 a year job maximum, and that's if you're lucky. I reckon they'll try and keep it under $100,000 a year with all those jobs. It's just the way it works. It's it's the way the industry's gone. Whereas with the underground side of things, there's too many employers. They need people too much. They've coming off such a low base from the downturn of experienced people. They're just chasing their tail at the moment. So the employees got the upper hand. Whereas in coal and iron ore, the bosses have got the upper hand. It's just all about knowing the industry and how it all works. So there's not a lot around because of Easter, and I've had a big rant, which is good. But if you can share it around and tell your friends and family, and if you know anybody that's looking to get into the industry, please stop them from spending a bunch of money on tickets that the employers just don't use. Just point them towards the channel and educate them. Just give them a brief rundown of what they actually need to get a job, and point them in the right direction where they're going to make some money. Because a lot of people aren't going to do that. They're going to have an awful experience in mining because it's not going to be what they want. It's going to be something completely different. The other thing is, guys, to the grads on the page, I've seen a few grad jobs around at the moment, so now's the time to start looking for it. I might actually do a specialised video to hunt some grad jobs up next week. I'll see how I go. Time's a bit tight these days, unfortunately. And I think I've had enough. I think we've had a look at all the underground jobs, but there were a fair few jobs around the place. And like I said, I got my little rant out of the way. So let's have a look at our prices to start with. So gold has made it over $3,000 an ounce, so it's $11 over that. Copper is over $13,000 a tonne, and nickel is over $34,000 a tonne. So at all those prices, everybody's making bucket loads of money. And this is where all the jobs are around the country. So this map is a map of all the mines around Australia that are producing metals that are going into the batteries and gold. And as you can see, there's work all over the country. The only place that there's probably not a real lot is in Victoria, but everywhere else around the country are looking for people. And we loaded up jobs to pretty much every state. The only one that there wasn't one this week was Tasmania, but if you go back and have a look at the last few weeks, there's been lots of jobs in Tasmania. If you really want a mining job, then I would head, as I always tell people, I would head to Kalgoorlie. That's the best place to get yourself a start once you've done the sponsors training. Why are you doing the sponsors training? Because like I said in the little rant that I had, that this information is how the mine actually works. You can spend $495, which is the price of what most people are charging to do your resume, and there's full instructions on how to redo your resume. There's a template in the back of this to actually put it into. It's going to get read, it's going to make it to the HR, it's going to get through all the systems that they've got, because it's got all the keywords on it that they want, all the mining employers want, the hard rock underground employers want. The resume dictates the fact that you've learnt how the mine works. It tells them that you've learnt how the mine works, and it basically goads them into asking you, test me, if I pass your test, then I'm going to make a great employee. And that's what you want. You want a resume that's going to draw the foreman in, so they can ask you those questions about how the mine works, and you've got the confidence to answer it. And that's what gets you the job. Being able to talk to the foreman about, or the project manager about how the mine works, is what 100% gets you the job. And that's what you're after. You're after you're after doing the training that's going to get you into an actual job, not something that's just going to pretend to get you into a job, like a bunch of tickets that the employers can't use. The S11, which is only an induction for Queensland, it's not a nationally recognised induction. Nobody outside of coal in Queensland recognises it. None of the employers demand it. And again, you just have to go back and have a look at the job ads. If you do have a mate that wants to get into the industry, just to get them to go and have a look at a fucking job ad before they spend any money, because it's just ridiculous the amount of money people spend on stuff that they've got no idea about. And the easiest way to educate yourself is to start by having a look at some job ads. Who's paying the most money? Where's the career path going? What do they want in the career path? Do they want an actual a ticket, or do they just want experience? And if they just want experience, what experience are they talking about? You know, it's all those things in there. One of the new pages that I've put up that I've just done is the unwritten rules in mining. I've actually turned it into a podcast because I think there's a lot of stuff in there that are just unwritten rules that people need to know about. You can go back and have a look at them on our sponsors page here, or you can click this button here on the page and listen to it as a podcast. You can also watch it as the videos as well as you go through. But there's a lot of good information in there. There's a lot of unwritten rules that people don't know about, and like I say, people spend a bunch of money on stuff that they shouldn't spend it on, just because in a vain effort to get into the industry, because they think that that's what the employer wants, instead of actually looking at a job ad and finding out actually what the employer actually wants. So I hope you found that information helpful today. I know it was a bit different with the job hunt video, but it's Easter, so there's, you know, it is what it is. If you could share this information around, tell your mates, you know, educate them, stop them from spending the money, point them in the right direction if they want to go. And if you can like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.